Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Antonia Peña, soy presidenta de un grupo comunitario Visión Latina. Es un grupo liderado por mujeres del condado de Parachute Aljebel. Es un grupo dedicado a la comunidad hispana. Nos interesa mucho ser tomados en cuenta, es por eso que nosotros estamos trabajando de esta manera. Y para mí este día es un honor que ustedes y los invitados hayan atendido este evento, un evento muy importante. Para mí en lo personal no tengo mucha relación cuál es el trabajo de los comisionados. Lo poco que sé al momento de hoy, conozco personas que es primera vez que van a ser nominados a la candidatura. O la otra persona creo que tiene algunos años en el poder. El siguiente paso, Visión Latina, estamos muy excited. Queremos que ustedes nos tomen en cuenta la comunidad latina. Ahorita el siguiente paso, me gustaría que cada uno de ustedes se presentara y nos dejara saber cuál es su posición ahorita, para saber, y nos gustaría que un poquito, cada uno, depende de su experiencia, nos explique un poco cuál es el trabajo y la labor de un comisionado. Nos gustaría que eso nos explicara. Podemos empezar con la señora Leslie.
I'm Leslie Robinson. I've been in Rifle area for about 40 years, so I'm almost a local. I've been working in journalism for most of my life and in social programs such as United Way, and I also worked at the Defiance thrift store and the Lift Up thrift store. My husband is Jim Bradford. He used to be the clerk of the courts. If you ever got a summons to appear as a juror, you got it from my husband. We have a dog and 8 cats. I own a home in Rifle. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Beatriz Soto. My name is Beatriz Soto. I am an architect, a community organizer. I work for a nonprofit that is called Wilderness Workshop, and I run a program called Defiende Nuestra Tierra that focuses on elevating the Latino voice on public land issues and environmental justice. I am the mother of a 9-year-old that goes to GSES. I am also the mother of a 20-year-old that goes to CMC College. I am married and I am a community organizer locally. I work really closely with the Latino community, trying to integrate our Latino community to the broader community and create pathways for all of us to work together and find common solutions to the issues that we all face. I graduated from Basalt High School. I've lived in the Roaring Fork Valley in and out since I was 17, so it's 22 years now. I have done a lot of work in our community, from cleaning homes to doing landscaping and parties, doing putting flowers up at big events and parties. I've done catering and everything it takes to make ends meet. And now I am fortunate enough to have a really good job for a great nonprofit locally.
Hello, I'm John Martin. I'm your county commissioner at present, have been for 24 years. I started out in Salida. Salida is about 150 miles from here. The family showed up in 1864 and they're still there today. I just happened to get over the mountain and come over to a wonderful place called Glenwood Springs. After college, I had 2 youngsters, a boy and a girl, and that was back in the 60s, so that tells you how old I am. I have had 2 service stations, and I used to work on cars and put them all back together. And then I became a policeman for 24 years in Glenwood Springs. And I knew just about every business owner, every person that came to Glenwood Springs. It was a different time then than it is today. I also was the animal control officer. I caught all the stray dogs and took them home, took care of the cats, took care of the goats, took care of the horses. I've also been a cobbler. That means I repaired all your shoes. And I took care of lots of folks by sitting on the sidewalk outside of my shop down in Glenwood Springs and repaired shoes right on the sidewalk, talked to everybody as they went by. Then I became a county commissioner. In 1997 was elected, and I've been there ever since. I took all my philosophies of being kind, understanding, compassionate, and also have a good ear for listening, and solve the problems of the communities. But I also focused in on veterans, seniors, and children. And they are the prizes of all of our communities. We need to take care of them, and they need a champion. I think I've been that champion for 24 years for them. I wish to continue. Thank you.
Muchas gracias por haberse presentado con nosotros. Es un gusto y un placer que nos están hablando poquito o mucho de su vida tan importante que tienen. Nosotros como miembros de la comunidad nos interesa saber quiénes son las personas que nos representan, y voy a volver a repetir, me gustaría que ustedes nos tomaran en cuenta como hispanos. Nosotros los hispanos, ustedes saben bien que somos parte de la economía de este país. Somos personas que llegamos como inmigrantes, personas que nos interesa apoyar, y así como nos interesa apoyar, el punto de esta reunión es que en lo personal a mí me gustaría, he visto un poco, esa es mi experiencia. Yo tengo 17 años ayudando a la comunidad hispana, pero nunca he tenido una organización, porque esto es parte de un aprendizaje. Tenemos que aprender leyes, nuestra cultura es diferente y nosotros hemos estado aprendiendo. Entonces, si ustedes no nos incluyen a sus trabajos, nosotros nunca vamos a terminar de aprender. Eso es en lo que yo he estado muy enfocada con la comunidad hispana, haciéndoles saber qué es lo que existe. Me gustaría que hoy hubiéramos podido haber sido más personas que atendiéramos este evento tan importante con ustedes, pero ustedes saben que COVID-19 ha sido algo que nos ha detenido, que habemos personas que no queremos estar reunidas, tenemos que tomar muchas precauciones, pero quiero asegurarme que si hay tiempo, en este tiempo de candidatura, yo me voy a comprometer, porque quiero un evento más grande con personas latinas que los escuchen. Me interesa mucho que ustedes nos den sus puntos de vista. Y tengo unas 5 preguntitas para ustedes. Me gustaría que ustedes las contesten con su experiencia. Después de que yo termine la pregunta, me gustaría que cada uno tomara 5 minutos de su tiempo. Si quiere hacer menos, tal vez 1 minuto más, para que los 3 tengan la misma oportunidad de contestar. Ok, la pregunta número 1. Ustedes como candidatos a ser comisionados en el condado de Garfield County, expliquen cuál es la manera para este año 2020 ustedes nos tomarían en cuenta como hispanos, como inmigrantes. ¿Qué clase de fondos destinarían para nosotros los hispanos?
According to the U.S. Census, at least 30% of our population is Latino. And so Latinos make up a good portion of not only our society, but our business community as well. As County Commissioner, I would make sure that our public meetings are translated or have interpreters available so that our Spanish-speaking citizens can also be involved with county government. And also we need to have our documents in Spanish as well for the county. It's important to have a diverse county commission that represents our people. And so it's very important that Beatrice and I be elected to represent that diversity.
So as a member of the Latino community, I understand that nobody can speak for me, nobody can speak for us, and nobody truly understands the complexities of our community. Even within the Latino community, we are not monolithic, we're extremely diverse. So I think it's imperative that we have governance that truly represents how the community is built. This is not only at the county commissioner level, but this is also in each town, in each municipality, and all the government agencies, because the government programs that are intended to serve our community should also reflect our community and come up with solutions that are able to serve a broader part of our community. As a Latina, I understand how important our voice is and how much we contribute to our economy, to our community, and to our families. Regardless of immigration status, regardless if you're DACA, regardless if you are a permanent resident, we are all part of this community. The way that I see the budget can help the Latino community is just making sure that the disparities that exist within our economic structure, that we are addressing economic justice, social justice, racial justice, and that all of this is baked in to our programming and to our vision of the future. And that we make sure that as we move forward beyond 2020 and we move forward beyond COVID-19, that we are intentional of closing those wealth gaps. We are intentional about breaking some of those barriers that have left Latinos out of government and out of opportunities. So the way that I would do it is just address and see the systematic changes that we need to accomplish in our community to make sure that we're closing those gaps. And as Leslie said, I would also love to see anybody that goes for a building permit, because Latinos are homeowners, that the building department has forms and people that can speak to their community. When we're talking about the Department of Health and Human Services, that forms and that everything that the community needs, regardless of first language, that people can access the information. The same with the meetings at the Board of County Commissioners. How do we make sure that all the community can understand that decisions that are being made? There is also a lot of work to do to make sure that the Latino community understands and is educated, and that we are very intentional of bringing in a broader part of our community into government and to the decisions that we make every day and the decisions that affect their lives. And that they're not only invited to come and participate, but we are actually actively hearing what the Latino community wants and needs, and that we make sure that those voices are also represented at the Board of County Commissioners.
Hello, as a county commissioner, which I've already said for 24 years, we have looked at diversity for at least 24 years that I know of. We have hired individuals that are bilingual in every department that we have right now. Other elected officials have the same. We also have interpreters on call that can be called and come in for special purposes. In the Department of Human Services, we have numerous people that speak Spanish and do it very well. They also assist in the health department, the sheriff's office. They also do in legal department. So we will be, again, making bonuses as we have for hiring people that have bilingual talent. And we feel it's extremely important. Our communications department, which is on the internet, also does our advertisement, is bilingual. Everything that we put out on our website is bilingual, and it is interpreted correctly and double and triple checked to make sure that the language is correct. We feel that we've done a tremendous job in reference to welcoming and opening our arms to the Latino community as well as the others. We have, again, many other communities that we have the Russians, we have Czechoslovakians, we have Polish, we have Asians. We also try to accommodate those folks. It is not just one group that we are as a government, have to take care of or give special attention to. We have to give it to everyone. And so I think that we do that and do it very well. Our budgets are again geared so that we can hire people and use multiple languages within each and every department. All documents are subject to translation and also can be distributed in the internet in different languages. And so we feel that we've done a very good job. There's always room for improvement, and that's why we're talking to you today. What are your suggestions? Give us a call. Come by and visit. We will welcome everyone. Thank you.
¿Por qué piensan que fondos que ustedes manejan no son manejados directamente por hispanos y creemos que no somos tomados en cuenta para tomar decisiones? Por ejemplo, con lo de COVID-19, despensas de comida, puedo hacer más menciones. Creemos que las decisiones están primero tomadas por personas que están en el poder y personas como yo no estamos incluidas. Esa es la pregunta. Me gustaría que Beatriz conteste esta pregunta primero.
In reality, Toñita, thank you for your question. I think it's a matter of more than just translating and putting things on a website. I think the way that we really integrate the Latino community is allowing the Latino community to be leaders and to make sure that you are placing people at decision-making tables and at leadership roles. So the solutions that are created for our community are created by our community, from people within our community that know how the culture of our community, the language of our community understands. I know the questions that you are asking are very specific to the Latino community, and the solutions cannot come for us. They have to come from within our own community. And this is why it's so important that leadership does represent the community that you're serving. Now, yes, we have a broader community, we have a lot of people to serve in Garfield County, but it's just such a big part of the community. And Toñita is asking questions specifically about the Latino community. And I think the responses that we've had from COVID and from emergency disasters, we can see how there's always a lag in time in terms of the information, and then also how we receive the information, right? If you have a community that has been historically disenfranchised and is not used to using certain tools, you have to be creative to create new tools and make sure that there are ways to solve some of these issues, and I think these solutions can come from within the community. We can help create solutions that will serve our community and that will reach further and deeper into the community and will help bridge some of those gaps that historically have left a lot of people outside of the decision-making process.
The question is, why aren't we at the table? And that is the Latino population asking that question. Well, you are at the table. You have a representational government. You also have emissaries out of 42 Human Services Commission members that take in information relayed to the Board of County Commissioners, and we relay information back and solve the issues that come up. The dollars that are coming out of that are taxpayer dollars paid by sales tax. The Board of County Commissioners know that there's even more money that is needed, and so what we do is supplement that in reference to grants. Every third week we have representatives, which include the Latino population, and their voices appear before the Board of County Commissioners and ask and also give information. We make adjustments. We also distribute money through the Department of Social Services. That's running about $1,100,000 a month. And that goes to a lot of folks that happen to be Latino as well as other folks. If they go in and qualify, and there is no ask for any kind of documentation, again, you have that right to go in and ask. We have qualified people that answer your questions, that send up the information and say this works, this doesn't work. We listen all the time to the Latino population, as well as we give money and time and information, and we also take news articles from them to put on our website. It is difficult with COVID-19. In fact, about 60-65% of the cases are Latina. And we have folks that go out to each and every one of those homes and interview folks. And they are bilingual. They do the information. They listen. They bring back the changes that are needed, and we implement them. Board of County Commissioners also serves as the Board of Health. So we are in the trenches with you and listening to you every day. And we are also sending out information, dollars, and programs to assist you.
You're so right. There is a disconnect between the Latino community and our government and our social and civic services. And I agree with Beatrice as far as we need the leadership to come to us. We need the community of the Latinos to come to us to tell us what their needs are. I know that in Rifle, many a times when we've suffered an economic bust through like the decline of natural gas, it's been the Latino businesses that start up, that fill the downtown businesses in Rifle and Silt and Newcastle. And so you play a very important part of our community, and that's why I think it's important for us to listen. I also want to emphasize that unless Beatrice and I both get elected, there won't be any change in Garfield County. So Beatrice has a lot of great ideas, and for her to be able to accomplish them, I'll need to be elected as well, so that both of us can work together to help pull up the Latino community. Also, I want to address that a lot of our social programs should be helping the Latino community, and I'm not sure what the problem is. Like for instance, the food banks. Lift Up just received $100,000, well actually $200,000 in the past couple of months to buy more food, to get it distributed, and so I'm not sure why it's not reaching the Latino community. So I certainly would work on those type of problems should I be your next county commissioner.
Esta es una pregunta que la hice porque me llega al corazón. ¿Hay algo que ustedes crean que pueden hacer si llegaran a ser nominados? ¿Creen que ustedes podrían destinar fondos para casos de migración? ¿Que los casos sean analizados antes de llevarse a una corte de migración? ¿Que fueran analizados primero en el condado? Es una pregunta que me interesa mucho su respuesta.
If I understand the question, it's actually a two-part question. First, we do need an advocate, which we have several advocates and different groups that can sit and talk and give legal advice, etc. But we also need to understand the culture and what is happening with the folks. And that is a learning process. We know that that is necessary. And that will be through either the Department of Social Service, Health Department, and the Board of County Commissioners by having listen sessions. We have a work session every first Monday on any subject. And if there is truly a desire to have advocates and what have you, come forward. And we will sit and listen, see how we can structure that, how we can put people on that advisory committee, because we do have several advisory committees, everything from the veterans to the seniors to the schools to the land use. So we're always open to doing that. The other question is, as a Board of County Commissioners, we have no authority over the court system, the district attorney, or the attorneys. So what we can do is either lobby in reference to changes in legislation, which would change laws, or we could go ahead and use those as an advocate, as the district attorney has, the witness advocate person who reviews everything, discusses it with the victims. Now, there are people that have been charged. They also need to have an idea of what's going to happen to them, why it's happening to them. And so we want advocates to come forward. We want a program. It used to be Welcome to America, and that was through the district attorney, the courts, and the Board of County Commissioners. However, that program has dropped off to the side and is not used, especially during COVID-19. Let's reinvigorate that. Let's use it again. If you're truly interested, work session, first Monday of October. Let me have a representative and ask that question and see what happens. Thank you.
Unfortunately, immigration is tied up with national politics. I believe in DECA students being able to gain citizenship. It wasn't their fault that they were brought here when they were young, and they should have a fast track to citizenship to become part of our nation that they love and work and America is their home. I'm really upset with Congress that they haven't done more about the immigration problem, especially freeing up federal dollars so it can be spent for immigration problems. There's, our hands are kind of tied here locally because of those federal programs saying that they can't help non-citizen people in America or in Garfield County, and I just don't think that's right. I also would consider saying that Garfield County is a sanctuary county, that Latino community should feel safe here. They should not have to worry about being dragged off by ICE. I know that I've worked with Latinos, and when ICE appears, boy, everybody has to hide in their home. The kids are afraid to go to school. I think it's just terribly upsetting that we have this kind of Gestapo police force coming in to take people away and separating their families. So I am going to work hard for the immigrants. I don't see a difference between a piece of paper, whether you're a citizen or you live here and work here and don't have that piece of paper.
I've been advocating for the Latino community and for immigration since 2006. My family are immigrants. My sister is a DACA recipient, so I know very closely why this is so important to our community. I know the Colorado Immigrants' Right Coalition is putting together a proposal to have governments, nonprofits, and community members come up with funds to protect our immigrant community when they have to go to court. Because going to court is a civil offense and there is no protection for immigrants in our current system. I absolutely agree that that should be a support that comes from the community to protect our community. So I would be in favor of creating these policies locally and supporting our immigrant communities and creating relationships with nonprofits and with the groups that are protecting that community. So this is something that I would absolutely participate in, and I would absolutely make sure that is part of, there is time spent on this and there is resources spent on this as well. Now, one thing that is kind of surprising to me is that knowing that our community has been here and we have been advocating for this and wanting to be part of our governments and making sure that our government is protecting us, this is something that is coming up in 2020. This is something that we've been fighting for decades now as well. So I don't think this being something new now that we want to consider. I think this is something that should have happened a long time ago to make sure that the community feels protected. I also know that a lot of our community members are fearful to go to the police, that are very fearful to report domestic violence. And this is something that I would also address to make sure that the people that are in the situations are actually protected and that we have a culture of safety and we have a culture that we trust each other and that we trust our government agencies and we trust our police agencies.
Los fondos que ustedes destinan a las diferentes organizaciones, como los que el señor que está elegido y las personas que están eligiéndose a candidatos, la comunidad latina nos gustaría saber qué seguridad tienen ustedes, cómo podemos estar más seguras la comunidad hispana que esos fondos están siendo realmente llegados como de la forma correcta, como ustedes piensan. En mi caso, he tenido casos de COVID-19 y la comunidad hispana no sabe qué hacer. Tengo entendido que hay fondos, entonces yo quisiera saber si realmente es un ejemplo, porque hay más cosas, si realmente esos fondos, cuál es la seguridad que ustedes tienen que esos fondos están siendo destinados, la cantidad que ustedes aportan es exactamente y ayude a la comunidad hispana.
Well, the problem with COVID funds is a lot came from the state and a lot came from the feds. And I'm afraid that a lot of those COVID funds have been spent and are gone. For instance, down in downtown Rifle, the funds were spent to help businesses, more importantly, restaurants, so that they could build outside eating areas. And this included businesses, restaurants that are Latino owned. I'm not sure if any more funds are going to be coming from the federal government or from the state until we get a new administration. How the funds are spent in the future, I think, needs more observation, but I believe that it should go from the county to the different communities like Rifle, Silt, Newcastle, Parachute, because those municipalities know better how to spend the funds to help local businesses.
So I know the governments have rules and regulations that don't allow to give help directly. First of all, I think there's better ways to do so. I know counties as Pickens County, Denver County have figured out ways, because it's a pandemic and it's a health emergency, to give help directly through government. And I think it's imperative that government takes control and accountability and ownership of how they're distributing the funds. Now, the other part is that a large part of these funds are distributed to nonprofits. So the nonprofit sector also has its own issues, right? Because they have not historically served the Latino community in a very efficient way. Now, I say this because you can see the leadership both in government and in nonprofits, and you can see that you don't see representatives from the community that you're trying to serve. And when they're trying to do this, unfortunately, they're failing, and we've noticed this, and the Latino community has noticed this as well, and it really hurts our community. And I think Donita is asking this question because she personally has experienced the fact that the resources are not getting to our most vulnerable, and they're actually not getting to all the Latino community. I think when money is given to nonprofits, they have to be held accountable. Right? You have to ask for data. You have to ask for surveys. You have to ask the community, is this really serving you? Are the foods that are being distributed something that you really want? And we need to hold these nonprofits accountable, because this is money from our government. It's money from our community, and it's the responsibility of the government to make sure that the funds are actually being used in the way that they are intended. A lot of these nonprofits, unfortunately, have the opportunity to serve a broader community regardless of their immigration status, but they're not willing to do this, right? And we know through data, and we know through a lot of surveys that we've done within the Latino community, that unfortunately these organizations are not reaching the people that they promised that they would reach. So there's definitely some lag there, and there has to be some accountability. There has to be accountability, and both the community needs to hold the government accountable, and the government needs to hold the nonprofits that they're giving the money to accountable as well. The way that I would deal with this is just making sure that we hear the Latino community and we do data analysis and we do plenty of surveys to make sure that if the resources are not getting to the community, then we need to reinvent. We need to maybe give the funds to other organizations, or we need to make sure that we're holding these organizations accountable and that we are getting the information from the community, that we are actually serving the community.
That was a short question, but it'll take a long answer. Number one, we have to understand that there are multiple governments: federal government, state government, county government, and city government. The county received funds from the federal government through the state of Colorado with protocols in place on how the money could be spent. That money was then first distributed to each municipality based upon population and how much money they had done through their programs preparing for COVID-19. Garfield County sent the rest of the money, which is close to $2 million out of $5.5 million, to the Department of Social Services. And through each and every one of the programs for state and federal, the county runs those programs. Each person that was eligible was interviewed and requested to go ahead and to describe how much money they need, why they need it, and that they were open for multiple requests. We also knew that that wouldn't cover everyone, and some people would fall through the net. So we took another $150,000 and put aside for the Department of Social Services to actually distribute to those that would fall through the state and federal programs. Now that's local people, and you could come back more than once, and that information was put out numerous times. We also said we needed to go ahead and help the nonprofits. Now, nonprofits receive taxpayer dollars from sales tax, but we also give what we call discretionary grants. And we're talking $500,000 plus to the nonprofits from the taxpayers. Each nonprofit has to come back to the county, the commissioners, and give a report and give a actual data information on how they spent the money. They do not disclose names, but they do show how much they have spent on programs, from health to rent to reading programs to whatever program that nonprofit is doing, including mass media, that they would report back. And that is the audit process that is in place right now. How do you know if that money is being spent? You ask questions. You need to be involved in your government. This is your government, the people's government. It always has been. And you have been included even though you don't believe that you have been. Our decisions are made for the most people, for the best that we can possibly do. So please, come and ask questions. We have nothing to hide. Thank you.
Queremos que nos digan cuál va a ser el compromiso de ustedes con la comunidad hispana. ¿A qué se van a comprometer con nosotros?
So my commitment to the Latino community, first and foremost, is that I'm going to make you proud. And I am going to be a representative that truly communicates with the Latino community, that speaks to it and makes sure that we are involved, and that I am not only just welcoming people, but I am helping create a culture of participation and making sure that younger generations, Latina women, feel the comfort and they feel welcomed into government. I'm going to make sure that everybody feels that they have a place at the table, and that we're also going to be investing in the Latino community, doing equity work, doing inclusion work, and that everything that we do is going to be in both languages. I am going to represent the Latino community, but I'm also going to represent the broader community, and I'm going to bring balance and make sure that all communities feel represented and feel welcome. Voy a decir también esto en español. Mi compromiso con la comunidad latina, lo primero es hacerlos sentir orgullosos. Quiero que se sientan orgullosos de mí y quiero que se sientan orgullosos de la manera en la que represento a la comunidad. Voy a crear un gobierno en donde todos nos sentimos incluidos, en donde todos nos sentimos que tenemos un lugar en la mesa, en donde todos son bienvenidos y que las puertas están abiertas para toda nuestra comunidad. Quiero hacerlos sentir orgullosos y quiero hacerlos sentir de que realmente los programas y los fondos del condado están siendo repartidos de manera justa, de manera transparente y de manera en la que todos nos sintamos incluidos. Ese es mi compromiso para ustedes y asegurarnos de que si somos cierta cantidad del gobierno y cierta cantidad de la población que estamos representados, que en nuestro gobierno todos van a tener un lugar en la mesa absolutamente siempre. Y voy a hacer todo lo posible porque nuestra comunidad esté educada para que sepa cómo participar, porque sé que en nuestra comunidad hace falta educación para poder participar, porque aunque queramos participar no sabemos cómo. Entonces voy a ser muy intencional en también ser mentora y en ser maestra para que todos se sientan cómodos participando, y les voy a tener paciencia en lo que yo aprendo, dejar también que la comunidad aprenda junto conmigo cómo debemos administrar el gobierno.
Promises. There are so many that try to get elected that promise the world, but they can't ever deliver. What amounts to is you need someone that does understand the community, that listens to the community, true. But it's up to you to participate, because this is a participatory government. You have had a choice to sit quietly, and now you have chosen to speak. I'm proud of you. Thank you for doing that. You need to do it more. But my promise to you is going to be that I'm going to be kind, I'm going to be understanding, that I will have etiquette and proper protocols within the meetings, that each and every one that shows up to my meetings has unlimited time to speak, and speak with passion and tell me what's going on and what needs to be done. I travel throughout the community, but you got to remember that there are 3 commissioners, there are 3 districts, but you elect every commissioner county-wide. That's a form of government, representational government. So you need to know that just because you have a stronghold in one area does not mean that the entire county is being served. You need to make sure as a county commissioner that you do serve each and every area of the county. 65,000 people. There is room at the table for all. There's time for all. And you need to participate. You need to be front and center through your organizations, through your face-to-face. I'm at the grocery store. In fact, I even put up swings in my apple tree at 10th and Bennett just so that the kids across the street would have some place to play, because it's an apartment building. There is no recreation there. I'm part of the community. I've been part of this community for 50-some years. Remember that I have been a mechanic, I've been a cook, a dishwasher, I have been a bartender, I have been a cobbler, a policeman, and now a county commissioner. And I've had other occupations as well. I know each and every walk of life. I know lots of other folks. I know the Italians, I know the Poles, and I know a lot of Hispanic people. And I love and respect each and every one of you. Be proud. Come forward. Show us your culture. Don't be afraid. You want to be part of the community, so don't segregate yourself and only participate in yours. Participate in all, but also preserve your heritage with the closest folks that you have. That's what we do. I know that everybody thinks that I'm not an immigrant. I've been an immigrant all my life too. 1624, they decided Europe didn't need our family, so they sent us to America. We got to know a lot of folks in that time, and a lot of history. We are all immigrants. Don't hold that over your neighbor just because they may have been here 40, 50 years. We all started that way. You're part of the family. You'll be treated as part of the family. And my promise to you is respect, understanding, kindness, and I'll listen to each and every one of you as long as you wish to talk. Thank you.
If you're wanting change, and change hasn't happened fast enough for you, it's important to elect new leadership. And with Beatrice and I on the commission, you're going to get change. I promise you that. I'm a person short on words, but long on action. And I think Beatrice and I would be more than happy to sit down with the representatives from the Latino community and talk about what we need to do to carry our whole future, our children, our families, for Garfield County into the 21st century. One of the most important things, I think, to level our community would be to have jobs where people live and housing, affordable housing where people work. We're separating families when people are forced to live in Parachute because of the lower income housing, but then they spend hours more away from their families. That's no better than families being separated at the border. So that's why I really want to work on getting jobs here in the Parachute, Battlement Mesa area so families do not have to commute up Valley for jobs, that you're only minutes away from your children and family. And then, should you be working and want to live in Glenwood or Carbondale, there should be low-income housing, affordable housing, that I believe the county should be involved with. We have to work with business people and contractors to make sure there's affordable housing, not just for the Latino community, but for everybody who works up Valley. So my promise to you is to be a better county commissioner and have better service than what you've been provided so far.
La otra pregunta es, aparte de que Mateo Cirque grabó el video completamente, yo estuve grabando y tomando fotos. Me gustaría preguntarles si sus videos y sus fotos me autorizan a ponerlas en la página de Visión Latina y en mi Facebook para que nos conozcan y los conozcan a ustedes. Quiero saber si ustedes, tengo el permiso de ustedes. Gracias. Gracias, y me gustaría que nos dieran la gracia a su manera, como ustedes gusten.
And I want to thank you for the invite. It was a very interesting evening with tough questions, and I hope I answered them. But if I didn't answer them all, I'd be more than happy to take you up on that luncheon date. I want to remind you all to vote by November 3rd. You should be getting your ballots sometime after October 9th, when they will be mailed. We suggest that you drop your ballot off in a box and not mail it back, just in case the post office gets all messed up. But again, thank you very much, and I look forward to working with the Latino community when I get elected.
Thank you, Toñita. Thank you, Visión Latina, for hosting us tonight. Thank you, Mateo, for having Cirque here as well. I want to appreciate your time and kind of repeating what Leslie says. It's very important that the Latino community participate, not only in our government, but also voting. We are an underperforming voting group, and we need to change that. And unless we don't vote, nobody will ever listen to us, and we will not be a power that can truly shift government, not only at a local level, but at a state level, at a federal level. Unless we don't vote, we are actually not considered. And if we are, there's a saying that if we are not at the table, we are the meal. So we need to change that, and we need to be very intentional. So in this election cycle, let's make history and make sure that the Latino vote comes out, and that we show that we are an integral part of the voting and democratic process. And the people that can vote, you need to vote for all your family that cannot vote, right? One vote might be representing 4 people. So if you are young and your parents cannot vote, make sure that you are voting for your parents, make sure that you are voting for your grandparents, and make sure you're voting for your neighbor and everybody that might not be able to vote. It is imperative that every Latino in Garfield County, in Eagle County, in Pitkin County, in all the United States votes. We need to vote because our vote is our voice.
Well, thanks each and every one of you for being here, as well as those that are actually listening and have the courage to look at me on the video. Thank you for doing that without turning away. But the most important thing is to hear. I've been here for 50 some years in Garfield County. I have again done multiple jobs. I have worked with many people in construction and concrete, Hispanics and Poles, Czechs, as well as English, Australian. They're all family. You're all family. You have been quiet, true, but you have not been forgotten. You still have the rights that everyone else does. You are just learning. So I need you to do your research. Look at what I have accomplished. Look up everyone and find out which one you really feel needs to be there to do the job. Remember, it's not about one small portion of the community. It is about the entire county and how we get along as a family. Please be proud of being part of Garfield County. Exercise and truly be proud of your culture. And hopefully when all this is over, we get to have a fiesta. So God bless you and good luck in your life.